Sourdough Coaching Chronicles, the series where you get a peek inside the world of limited Magic coaching. I'm Alex, joined once again, as always, by Nathan. Nathan, how you doing? We're at the end of the formats now. How you feeling about the formats? And what's good in your life?
I'm feeling really comfortable with the draft net portion of the format. I think, last time when we left off, I was saying, I think I've got the draft really well under wraps. I understand where I should be. I've moved away from my fear of not drafting blue-black and feeling like an idiot. And so I think since the last time we met, I've done 5 or 6 drafts with a couple 7-0s, one 7-1. I did have a 1-3 in there with red-green weird crappy deck, but none of those were blue-black, which was fun because I think the format's kind of opened up and I feel like you can kind of draft whatever now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Impressive record, by the way. I'm really glad to hear that. Last time we met, you mentioned, like you were saying, gameplay, the draft's going kind of okay, and I think it's good. It's a good time to check out some gameplay before we jump into Crimson Vow, probably the next time we meet. So we got a game here that, I think you and me were talking before the show started. I think that this game probably is going to illustrate a lot of things that a lot of players, I know at least from my own experiences seeing people play and seeing coaching people, things that people have a lot of questions about or people are often unsure about. This game highlights some stuff like how to navigate a long game, when to pressure when you're not the beatdown, when to start turning the corner. Let's just dive in here. Do you have any thoughts before we jump into the game before we start? Just maybe some things that you were maybe looking to get some insight on or things you want to talk about yourself?
I had a lot of lines that I was unsure of. I feel like you said, I feel like I should have turned the corner at some point in this, but I never was able to. And then I think I've said this in a previous gameplay video, but this feels like a game that Alex would have won that I did not.
Right.
And so I want to find out, where should I have diverged? Where would you have diverged? I mean, there's obviously some... as you watch, there's a couple of times in here, I forget to activate my larder zombie. That's not the stuff that I think we need to focus on. I need the big picture stuff here.
Sweet, yeah. I think this is a pretty long game, 24-minute game. And I think navigation in a long game is one of those really tricky things.
I guess just the salient point for this deck is it wasn't a great deck. The 2 drops were kind of crappy. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's got the goods that should be able to win a game. It's probably about a C deck, I would say.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, C decks do well too, Nathan.
Yeah.
so I mean, we're under some pressure here. This is the point in the game where we've got our ground forces locked down, and we got our large zombie engine going. But I do need to do something about these flyers here. Luckily, we have the Storm Rider Spirit. We have a fight spell. This is the first point of interest, I think. So you choose to play your Storm Rider Spirit instead of the Tireless Hauler. Thoughts on that?
I was hoping that they would jam with their 2 flyers and I could eat the Abomination.
Yeah, I think it's totally reasonable. I think there's some thought to get the bigger thing down first so that you can start racing, right? So, here's a 4/5. This thing's going to, deal you 4 each turn if you don't do anything about it. But I also think there's something to be said for, you're under some pressure here. Let's just, try at least to block this Falcon Abomination. So I think either line is fine. I do like your line, though. I think that's the line I would have gone with. So we do that. Luckily, they don't have anything. We get to eat the Abomination. Good times for us. We go on. They play some stuff. Another Falcon Abomination. We lure a zombie, and we top a Bird Admirer, which, definitely helps here. So basically, I just want to stop here. I want to ask to you as a framing tool here, What's your role in this game, do you think, currently?
I don't feel like I'm the beatdown. Mm-hmm. I feel like I don't really have any good attacks other than the Storm Rider Spirit, potentially.
Yeah.
This is one of the first lines I was, should I drop the Tireless Hauler? Mm-hmm. Or should I drop the Bird Admirer and then have a fight spell up to kill something?
Yeah, this is a really pivotal point of the game, I think, because I think you're right at the point where I would say that you're pretty much at parity with your opponent. You're not super far ahead. They're not super far ahead. They're maybe ever so slightly ahead. They got more on board and they've got their 2 flyers here. One interaction spell on the Storm Rider Spirit could set you really behind. But this is the exact kind of board state where I think a lot of people freeze up and they go, oh man, I was getting pressured early. I should just sit back a little bit and not try to get too antsy here, because one wrong move and I might fall really far behind. I'm just curious what you thought here. Were you like in that mindset of like, oh, I was getting beaten down, let's chill for a little while here, or just, you know?
I think so. I'm sitting at 14, but I feel like I have the tools to drag this out.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. I honestly don't remember what I did on this turn. I think current Nathan would probably listen to Alex's advice from literally 1 second ago and drop the Tireless Hauler. I don't think that's what I did, though.
Yeah, that is what I would do, because you know what, you're basically, you have to ask yourself, what are the costs for playing, you know, each of your cards, or what are the benefits as well, right? So the benefit of playing your Hauler is it can attack past everything your opponent has currently, but the cost is, you know, you don't get to block the 3/2 flyer. You're going to take 3 points, right? I think that's acceptable. I think at this point in the game, you want to start to pressure the opponent, or at least take some, do something so your opponent isn't just like, okay, I can just, you know, sit here and, you know, peck on my flyers, cast my tapping at the windows here. I would play the Hauler here so that they have to respect it, essentially. You're not so far behind that I think you need to go emergency mode, jam my Birdemire, spend less of my mana, especially because I don't think you're going to be using the Duel for Dominance most likely this turn. There's just nothing on this board that I feel like you need to kill.
Yeah, I think the advantage of the Tireless Hauler, too, if we're just, you know, table talking here, is that it would enable the Coven on the Duel for Dominance, whereas the Birdemire doesn't.
Right, yeah, that's actually a fantastic point, too. Also, here's another thing, too, a little thing about sneaking in attacks. You could totally attack with this Organ Hoarder. They're not going to block with Creeper. This is a valuable creature for them. I mean, even if they do, that's probably a good thing for you. So I think this is a totally fine trade for you. I would just get in with the Hoarder here. I think, number one, if they're looking to block, great. I mean, that's fine. I think you've already got some value off this thing, and this Creeper has some, we know has some value because they've got a card draw spell in the yard. And, you know, clearing the board is also good because then the counter on the Duel for Dominance, you know, means a little bit more when the board's not all clogged up.
I'm blanking on our key takeaways because I don't have my notes in front of me from previous, you know, sets. When should I be focusing on simplifying the board? Because like talking with the Organ Hoarder could simplify the board.
You should focus on simplifying the board with your creatures when you don't have a lot of tools to get your creatures in, your bigger creatures in, right? So I'm assuming this deck doesn't have that many combat tricks, doesn't have that much removal, right? So you're kind of okay just trading off your creatures. If you had a lot of removal in your deck, you'd be like, okay, I want to keep my creatures to remove their things and then get in with my creatures. Here, you're kind of just okay trading off the board here. Especially, like I said, I don't think they're going to be offering the trade with the Creeper myself.
Got it.
Yeah.
Side note, you know, from lessons learned from previous seasons of always have your deck list up in front of you. I'm sure everybody already knows this, but that I think it's untap.gg plugin.
Yep.
Lets you just click and see your deck in Arena.
Yes, it's very, very helpful.
Super helpful, yeah.
I use it on stream all the time. Like, I honestly, once per game, I'll be like, okay, what do I have left in my deck? And I'll make plays based on that. So, yeah, really would suggest that Untap.gg. It's a plugin you can download. It also tracks your stuff, too. Not as well as something like 17 Lands, but it's got sometimes some nice graphs and visuals there, too. So, yeah, that's the easy way to do the whole... You don't have to screenshot your deck.
Take a screenshot, yeah. I thought it... I guess I'm just sharing that for the general public, is because I thought it was a streamer tool, like you needed it for streaming, but I guess you don't. So it's definitely worth looking into.
All right, zooming back into this game here. Thoughts on this turn here? Playing the Eccentric Farmer over the Hauler. Thoughts on that?
I think I wanted to leave up Duel for Dominance. This Eccentric Farmer enables the Coven, so I thought I could pick off something with my 3/3 flyer, turning it into a 4/4 flyer, and then maybe I could become the beatdown.
So I like that line if you do the Duel for Dominance this turn, right? Because then I totally like that. You can start turning the corner here. If you don't Duel for Dominance this turn, it's just better to play the Hauler and then duel next turn, I would say. So let's see what happens.
Spoiler alert, I don't think I Duel for Dominance.
Yeah, and here's kind of something too I've seen a lot, and you can tell me if this is maybe what's going through your head. Is just like, oh, I should keep this up just in case. Just in case. Yep. Maybe I want to use it.
Maybe I could blow them out with something.
Right, maybe I blow them out. But you're giving up something meaningful, right? But not just curving out. So that's
I'm giving up an attack here, right? I could kill their Gale Drifter and then jam with the...
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. And just, some counterfactual thinking here. If we had the Hauler, we'd have a good attack here, right? They don't have good double blocks because we have the fight spell in hand. We can really blow out a double block. If we're looking for a blowout, playing a 4/5 when you have a trick in hand or a removal spell, that's a recipe for a blowout.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, so
well, it didn't take long for us to point out where Alex would have diverged in this.
Yeah, exactly. So we're at a stalled up board pretty much. This is where I want to make some moves, right? This is where I'm like, all right, I can't. I mean, honestly, you have the advantage here because you got the larder zombie. They don't. But that you need to translate that into actually winning the game here somehow. So let's see. We get through some lands here, which is real nice for us.
That larder zombie is so nice.
Oh, I love larder zombie. It's such a unsung hero of the format. I mean, I don't even know if it's unsung. People love the card now. People know how good the card is. So, oh, look at this. Are we gonna play another Burgermeyer, getting defensive yet again potentially?
I think we do.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But I
like
jam.
this attack. Yeah, I think this attack's fine.
Because like this has the duel for dominance up.
Yep. Yeah, we do. Interesting. So I think this is a very clear. Maybe it's not even not realizing that you should be the beatdown, but maybe realizing you should be the beatdown, but not following through in the correct way.
I think not realizing I should be the beatdown. I think that's fair.
Enough.
This is just me having my blinders on.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so that's one thing I definitely would do different. Let's just let's just fast forward through because I think that really sets the stage for the rest of this game. I think they locked in the cemetery. They play a 5/5. They're starting to be okay. I'm out some sort of board here that they could be pressuring you with. You larder zombie a little bit. Yep, you had a Burly Breaker, can tussle with the 5/5 there. And
yeah, this is a point where I wasn't sure what to do here.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I think not this turn, but the next turn. Like, I think I was reticent to jam with the Burly Breaker.
So if you jam with Burly Breaker... So this is something to think about, like, when you're unsure about what to do. Like, what is my opponent's best block here? Let's just look at this board state. If I attack with my
cavalry,
Burly
right?
Breaker, what do they do? What do you think they do, Nathan?
I would, if I was in their shoes, I would just trade the cavalry.
I think so too.
I would put, I'd probably put the cavalry and the Dawnheart Rejuvenator in front of it in case there's I think there's a +2/+2 pump spell from green, right?
Or just like startle early.
Sure, yeah.
You could even jam all. Like honestly, if I'm in your opponent's seat and you attack with Burly Breaker, I just block with all my ground creatures just to ensure the thing dies. It's like shove,
So what do you think about that? Is that good or bad?
If you attack with the Burly Breaker?
Yeah, would you have done it?
No, I don't think it's good too because like this has value when it flips because it can fight the 5/5. So yeah, I don't like attacking there. I do think you should just play the Silver Bolt there. I mean, I don't think there's that much that could go wrong. I guess it's pretty low opportunity cost because like it's 1 mana to fit in somewhere else. But I just think like they're top decking. You can fit this in. I don't think you're gonna regret not playing or not holding the mana up for the duel. And you might draw like a 5-drop that you want to cast, and then the mana
so you mean in addition to the hauler?
Exactly. Yeah. In addition to the hauler.
So what about combat here?
So let's go to combat here. So let's rewind to combat here for just 1 second here. So they got 5/5s. You got a 6/6 and a 5/7. So at this point, I line up blocks and I go, okay, if I attack the 6/6 and the 8/7. What happens? And it's not that good for you even still. It's okay, but it could go wrong. So if I'm them, right, and I go easy blocks without considering a trick in hand. Okay, I go double block 5/7 on 5/5s, double block the 6/6 on a few things here. What you could do is, and here's what I think I would do. I would play the Silver Bolt to kind of make their life a little bit harder. Because if you play Silver Bolt, it just makes it so that there's fewer blocks that they could possibly have that can profitably kill you. And I actually think you have decent attacks here. Not amazing attacks, but if there's a lot of opportunity for them to make a wrong block here, right? Because if they just block, like, make a bad double block, you can go 6/6 fight the 5/5, the 5/7 survives. If you put the Silver Bolt in there, that changes the math a lot, where they just can't jam all on your 7 on your 8/7, makes things hard for them there. So I think essentially here's what it boils down to. You have a good enough board where even if they make the best blocks, you're kind of okay with these trades. Like this trading for a 5/5, this trading with something else. You simplify the board, and then you have your removal spells to punch through after, right? Because you've got a pretty burly board here. No pun intended with the Burly Breaker. But you can actually, if these bigger creatures trade off, then your other creatures can get in with these removal spells. So I would attack here. because I think there is a reasonable chance they make a bad block.
What about going with your line of dropping the Silverbolt? And this is one of the things I was struggling with the entire match. Jamming with the Organ Hoarder and the 2/3/5s.
So you just like
jam everything but the Eccentric Farmer. Right,
just so like so you're kind of cool with like, okay, if they block the cavalry, I bolt the cavalry essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable line too.
Because like they don't really have any other good blocks for the 3/5s. There's a lot of bounces
Yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, they could just block them to 3/5. I guess I don't really like attacking with the Hoarder, I think, because I think it prices you into using the Bolt on a trade, or like, 2-for-1ing yourself on a trade here, which I'm not so into. So I would just be attacking with the big creatures, I think.
So would you check with the 2 Wing Shredders?
No, I don't think so, because they have a good double block there, right? They go 5/5 and 5/5, and like they can take some points here. At least here, like, you're attacking with this, they can't just like have a good double block naturally. This is like a good double block naturally on a 5/5 or a few other things. So if you're gonna attack here, I think it's worth attacking with the 7/8/7 as well. It works out for you because they do the obvious double block, right? Where it's like, okay, yeah. And this is the exact so on the podcast this week I was talking about like blocking with more things right than you think you need to. This is the exact situation where your opponent gets really punished for not just like jamming a few more things in there, right? Because there it goes. Yep. Oh no.
It moved on me.
Yeah.
Just trying to dodge it.
Yeah. All right. So that happens. You got a really, really nice exchange there. Just get to like 2-for-1 them essentially, and the board is really simplified now. Oh, you don't play our creatures or things? I guess maybe this is just like a oops. that
was a misclick. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Doesn't matter too much, I don't think.
But the Silverbolt should have already been down.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, actually, no. Maybe it was an intentional play. Now that I think about it, because then your werewolves flip back if you cast another spell. So
that's what it was. Yeah. If I had cast another spell, I wanted to keep it night. Yeah. Towards the end of this game. There's a lot of times where I just intentionally pass the turn to try to get it back to night because my board gets bigger than theirs at night.
Yep, totally makes sense. Okay, so here's another thing. So we got the board advantage now. Here's where I'm definitely looking to pressure at this point. I'm like, all right, I smell blood, So instead of playing the Slow Gurk here, which is essentially just a 3/3, I mean, it grows the larger zombie, don't get me wrong. I think here's the turn you want to play the Silverbolt. And, not playing the Silverbolt actually comes back to bite us here now because we don't want to double spell, and it does make it awkward because we would like to play Slow Gurk and the Bolt. The Bolt would be nice to be in play here because, again, that makes their double blocks kind of awkward. They can't double block with the Wing Shredder. They can't double block with, these X2s here. So that just makes their life a whole lot tougher if they have to shove more things in front of this, like, Demolisher to be able to trade with it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so enlightening and painful to see these mistakes. Yeah, so I don't even think I jammed too much here.
Oh, no jamming here?
I don't think I jam all. I don't remember what I attacked.
Interesting. Yeah, no. So this is a key turn where I'm like, you attacking there. I think really, really hurts because you really, really give your opponent some time here. Like they got totally blown out on that last turn. I want to punish them, right? I want to be like, you made a kind of a block that didn't work out so well for you. Now I really want to turn the corner before you can, draw into any more gas and have good blocks.
Okay. I think, if we were going to not playing the whatever the 4/5 earlier in the game was probably the key mistake, and I think that, putting that aside, resetting, moving on, that was another key mistake right there that turn.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'd have a nice swing of the board here because even if they do go for okay blocks, they really have their board decimated at that point. All right, we get in. I like this attack. You could attack with more stuff here. You could attack
that's my next question. So that's the reason I asked the question earlier. What would you have jammed with there?
Probably the 3/5s as well. Because then if they're double blocking on these, that's fine. That means they're not double blocking on these.
What about Slow Gurk? Because you could hypothetically larder zombie and make it +1/+1 in instant speed.
Yeah, I would want Slow Gurk to grow a little bit more before I get into combat. Like, if you got one counter on it, I mean, they're not going to block with their 3/2 here, right? They're going to make a smart block most likely. They're going to just put their 3/5 on it, so I don't think it's going to accomplish too much.
Got it.
Yeah, so they do have to chump here, which is nice for you. Okay. And sorry, did we attack? We did attack with the villain. Yeah, okay, the villain.
Yeah, we just didn't attack with the Wing Shredders.
Okay. So that's fine. Okay. And we got the board advantage now. They get back tapping at the window. Yep. They bend up Shadow Beast sighting. They get to play it. They play a creeper. All right, so their board is large. You start to bin some lands here. You top a cavalry and back to day. Okay, unfortunate. So
this is where I started to get trapped.
Yeah.
As the game goes on, I want it to be night, but they have all this stuff that keeps being able to make it turn to day.
Yeah, they're gonna start to cast a bunch of spells here, which is really unfortunate because now we're kind of at a board stall situation again. Honestly, not that bad of a board stall. I wonder what happens if you just jam here. Like, their board's not that good. It's a 4/4, it's a 2/2. Like, I think here is a situation I would go jam all, and still they don't have the good double blocks again because the Burly Breaker and the Silver Bolt starting to kill something. So I think you're actually fine to jam, if not all, most things. Like the 3/2, these guys, and they don't have very good blocks still.
Okay.
Especially because you have a 5/5 coming down next turn, or you could have a 5/5 coming down that turn. All right, they consider...
Yeah, I passed the turn there trying to make it night again. Yeah, I think I got too caught up in that dynamic.
So I think with them having a tapping in the graveyard, it's very unlikely that it's going to be night back on your turn again. Right, yeah. They're gonna cast this, maybe even find a creature, and even if they don't, they're gonna probably this card or their top card is likely to be a spell. So I think that that's pretty unlikely. I would just jam my hand here. Here's actually a really good spot to just dump your hand, so that you don't have to worry about like oscillating between playing one spell and playing no spells. Right, you just dump my hand, and then I can worry about that later. We're like, oh man, I have to like wait a turn to play cavalry, and that's just like really awkward.
This is the first game that I was been in this format where night and day really mattered.
Yeah.
So I think, we're seeing how poorly I managed it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like very much a mechanic that's like, how well can you think 3 turns ahead or like 2 turns ahead, and if that's something that's like you have a bit of trouble with, yeah, you're gonna get pretty punished.
Well, as demonstrated here, I definitely can't do that, or I didn't do that.
All right, so they find a removal spell. Very unfortunate.
Well, it shouldn't have been unfortunate. That thing should have already jammed like 5 times.
Yeah,
already.
Exactly. They should have jammed. They find a troop.
Once the troop hit, that's basically the end of this game.
Well,
I don't know how
we've got a Donahar Mentor on top. That's a pretty nice one to find. We draw the Mentor, and this is that gives me a lot of hope in this game actually. Oh, does Nathan play the candlelit here? Let's see. We do. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we do jam. Okay, that's fine. I think that's okay. Yep, clear the board. Clearing the board is good when you have the Mentor. Yep.
I was just thinking that Contortionist Troop is going to be terrible.
Yep.
What can I do to make it less terrible?
Yep, I think this is totally fine. You get a bunch of lands back from the Slogurk. So they play a Troop here, and they leave up 2 mana, interestingly. That's a bit of a tell. About 3, I suppose, if you count the Creeper. So I wonder what that means here. We go on. Oh, it's a Winterthorn Blessing. We find out immediately. Ask and you shall receive the answer. All right. Yep, tap down the 5/5. So now it's like, all right, this Mentor's got to carry us all the way here. The troop puts a counter on something. Yep. And
this is where I start to fall further and further behind. Like,
yeah.
Like, yeah. They have another tap down. I'm trying to wait for it to be night. Like.
Oh, here's another spot where you probably just want to pressure. Because if they block, you got an activation on the Mentor and defend the Celestis, right? Can you do both? Yeah, you can even do both, right? Yeah. So that's +6/+6. They don't have anything unless they block the 1/4, which is fine because the 1/4 won't die. You have an attack into the troop, right?
What would you attack with here? Because I don't see it. What would you jam with here?
You could just jam with a 3/2. What do they do?
I would probably just put the Root Coil Creeper on it.
And then you get to trample over.
Or no, I would probably put the Bird Admirer. I don't know what I would do in their shoes.
In either situation there, then you get to trample over for a bunch of damage, and you start making headway in this game.
Yeah, I could have eliminated the troop if they put it on it. Okay.
Yeah. The troop. You've got a good attack here, essentially.
Yeah, this is where I didn't see it. You know what I mean? This is where my eyes don't see the good attack. I was like, oh, I need the 5/5 to have a good attack, because then I can do both of those things together, that type of deal.
So you're making, I guess maybe here's the way to look at it. You're making progress even if you don't get him for a bunch of damage, or even if you don't kill the troop specifically, right? Because you're going to kill something, they're going to have to block, and you're going to trample over some amount of damage. So this is the key to breaking through a board stall like this. You have, like, Donahar Mentor is perfect for this, because you have this thing that turns any one of your creatures into a threat. And it doesn't have to be a game ending like, oh, this thing's going to kill you in 2 turns. It's just send, they have to block. Send, they have to block. Send, they have to block. Eventually, that's going to eat through their board, and you're going to come out the victor in that situation. It's about the grind in these kind of board stalls. Yeah. And you've got that tool to grind.
Should have jammed with the Wing Shredder, actually, now that we're looking at it.
Yeah, Wing Shredder would even be fine, too.
6-8.
Yeah, I wonder if there's still a little bit of like, I'm not sure they've got a flyer, I should like hold it back, you know?
I think, you know how your brain makes shortcuts?
Yep.
And I was like, I don't think the Wing Shredder can attack because it's holding up the air.
Gotcha.
Like,
yeah.
That was like, that's what I was thinking.
Totally. So yeah, I think, some key decision points that would have gone a little bit differently here. And I assume at this point here, they just kind of run away with the game.
I actually ended up decking.
Yeah, they're like, we don't even need to kill you with
I put
damage.
So much stuff in my bin with the larger zombie through the game that I ended up decking.
Yeah, so that's the key point here in this game is what I would say. Pressure, go back to here. Pressure early, right? Yeah. We can definitely pressure a little bit more early. The mid game, you have good attacks because your creatures are just bigger than theirs. The late game, you have good attacks because you've got this board stall breaking creature here. That even if it's not like you're not making the absolute best trades in the world, you're making trades, you're simplifying the board, and you're pushing through damage, and eventually that'll get you there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't make it to Mythic, because like this was a winnable game that I didn't win.
It's tough. These are hard games, like especially in these big board stalls that happen in this format and happen in other formats too. It's a lot of overload a lot of the time. It's like, oh man, there's so many things going on here. And I guess just as a closing thought here, if you ever find yourself in these board states, like I think the best thing to do is just think of like what I was kind of talking about before, where it's like, what happens if I attack here? Right? Just like, what are their best blocks? And even if your gut tells you, oh, I don't have good attacks, just see if you do. Because, clearly your gut's sometimes wrong. Here, Nathan said, I don't really have good attacks. But if you just check, just hypothesize if you go in with your creatures here, what happens here? And sometimes you go, you know what? That's actually not that bad. I think I'm going to do it. You even see this sometimes in game when people are like hesitating. They're like, oh, should I attack? And you can see the wheels turning and it's like, yes, I will attack with all my creatures. Yeah. And you're like, all right, Pony, you got there. You figured it out, right? And I think you can do that for yourself too. It's like, it's just, it's again, pushing into those boundaries or those, game states that your brain isn't normally used to thinking of, pivoting towards, of going to, maybe I should just attack here. Just try to do it a little bit more, and then you can build up those, mental pathways of getting there and being like, yes, these are board states I actually can attack through.
Yeah. I think if I had to give myself 2 shortcuts or 2 takeaways for today, one is do a better job using my life total as a resource. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I put down the bird admirers and never lost another piece of life at 14 after being to 14, but I still lost the game. I could have dropped that Burly Breaker earlier and gotten in there.
Yeah.
And 2 is I think I'm just really reticent to trade off pieces.
Yeah.
Like I want to have 0-for-1s. You know what I mean? Like I want to come up in every exchange, and I think it's okay to do 1-for-1s or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's totally okay to do 1-for-1s, especially if it means you have good attacks in later turns, which is exactly what would happen here. 1-for-1s. And
I'm not thinking ahead. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. This is the hardest part of Magic. These tough gameplay decisions, right? These tough gameplay situations. It's all about the process. It sounds cliche, but it really is. It's there's a little bit of, like you're saying, you're like, it's so painful to watch it back. There's a little bit of like disheartening feelings that you can have sometimes going into this, but it's all about the process. And it's like, just keep pounding away at this kind of gameplay and take it as a lesson. That's all it is. That's really all it is.
You're so kind. I need the tough love. Nathan, tighten up. Get those jams in there.
All right, Nathan, let's pack up this episode. Been a good season once again. Any last thoughts on Innistrad or even on this gameplay episode here?
I didn't like it at first, not this game, but Innistrad. I thought it felt like it was going to be like Black Red and Midnight Hunt. I'm sure everybody said that, but as I've played more of it, I've really enjoyed the depth of it. I don't feel like, I don't think I've run into anything that's like the biggest bomb, maybe a Meat Hook Massacre once or twice, but
yeah.
Like. It feels like a very fair format.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, I definitely echo your thoughts on now that we're 5, 6, 7 weeks into the format. Things have there's been some time to breathe, and I do feel like it's a pretty wide open format. Even this late into the format. So it's been cool, and the gameplay has been pretty fun for me too. So, all right, well, Nathan, thank you once again for joining us here, and we'll be back for Grims and Vow in a few weeks. Everybody out there, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Perfect. Thanks.